Hi everybody, it's Rachel Warner from Engage and Grow Central Midlands. Thanks for joining us once again for the Future of Our People interview series. Today I am delighted to be joined by Kerry Taylor-Smith from Spirit Health. So welcome Kerry, thanks for joining us. Great to have you here today.
Thanks for having me.
Just to get us going, if you could just tell us a bit about Spirit Health, let us know what you do as a company, how many you are, where you're based and all that sort of stuff. That would be great, thank you.
Okay, so we are Spirit Health and we're based in Leicester. We've currently got just under about 200 people working for us at the moment. And we specialise in a few things. So one of them, digital health. So within our Clinitouch division, we've just actually engaged into a global expansion plan. And we are helping patients and healthcare workers all around the world, from Africa to Australia. And they're in between. And we're also got our MedSop division, and essentially we put expertise in at primary care level to deliver changes, save money, and improve patient outcomes, which is really important, obviously, at the moment with NHS pressures. We specialise in education, and we're diabetes specialists, and we've got an online pharmacy too. So quite a few things going on at Spirit.
A lot going on. That's fantastic. Thank you for that. Really, really useful. So thinking back to when you first became a people leader, and everything that's happened since, in terms of all the work that you've been doing around employee engagement and culture, both at Spirit and elsewhere, what would you say your biggest learning has been?
So I'll probably put it around more self-awareness and actually self-belief. So I think self-awareness in knowing and understanding self, obviously, from, I think, strengths, weaknesses, core values and behavioural preferences. I think that's a real key leadership trait, actually, and core values and how they impact others. I think that's really key. And I think it comes into the self-belief as well. So do you know what? Understanding who we are, and who we are is good enough and it's absolutely fine. And I think sometimes within professionally and personally, I think we can go through struggles and learning stages, which can be really uncomfortable when you're just kind of outside that comfort zone. But I think to understand that you're just going through and we'll enter the growth zone eventually. And for me, when I look back, I think I wouldn't change anything. I think there's been learning in everything that we've experienced. So even though you're not necessarily feeling the most confident in the world, do you know what? You're going to go through and you will learn, and you will be able to apply those learnings going forward. I think that's really important.
Yeah, it's so true. And you're totally right. When you're actually in the middle of it, it just feels like it feels awful, doesn't it? But then it's only afterwards you can reflect back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really interesting what you were saying also about core values. And I completely agree about that being one of the big leadership traits. In terms of Spirit Health's core values, how do you bring them to life? Values for me are so important, and likewise with the behaviours as well. But quite often they are on the company website and on the wall, but no one could remember them.
No, quite absolutely. So when I first came to Spirit, actually, it was really interesting, and it's hard to explain, and I think I've said before that I almost veer on it's almost a bit cringy, but genuinely this is true, and it comes from the heart. When you walk into a Spirit office, or you're on a Teams meeting, or whatever that interaction is, there's something really tangible and exciting and actually infectious about how we work. So we started the culture drive, and we kind of went round and said, actually, what is it that makes us special? What is it that we do? What really is at the root of everything that we are? And we came up with the 3 values, which are Brilliance, Vigour and family. And we've used them ever since. And we go through the organisation, making sure that they're still true to life. We've just done a big subculture exercise, which we've worked with all the teams within the org, seeing actually how do you work? What's important to you? Not only at a team level, but at an individual level too. And there's a lot of data that we go through and input and measure to make sure that actually is what we're saying correct, from people starting from kind of going through and connecting with them throughout the whole of the life cycle experience, performance reviews, surveys. We do a culture yearbook every year. We genuinely talk to people. We work with the teams, and then if we do have people leave, you know, that exit, and what does that sound like? What was your experience? It's just constant communication throughout, and I think it makes us individual, and it really stands out.
I love it. And I also love the fact that you actually went out to uncover what the values were rather than trying to come up with them, because
Yes.
values are very much, they already exist. It's not something that you choose, like they're inherent. Yeah. So that's great. I also really enjoyed the fact that you said you had an infectious culture, given that you're a healthcare. So.
Yeah, so I think it's not just about the words, and we have some of our rewards things that we have within Spirit. They relate to kind of what value, what have you done that's really great, and actually how is that linked to a value. So we're trying to we're linking that to performance as well, and it's really interesting, and it's great to see some of the things that we have that come through as well.
Awesome, love it. What do you see as the biggest challenge in culture and employee engagement within the healthcare industry? Obviously, like, you know, there's no getting away from the fact that it's an incredibly hard industry to work for, and I'd like to think that everyone who's watching this recognizes that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I would say more industry wide, probably. Yeah, I mean, certainly recruitment and getting the right skills in is a big thing for healthcare. I think well-being and making sure that we're taking care of mental, emotional, physical well-being of staff. There's a big thing on EDI, AI. But I think when I look at Spirit as well, that flexibility piece, and something that I'm kind of sort of working on currently and making sure that we're going to have something coming through is that flexibility piece, and it's on the hybrid working. So we're through the COVID stage now. We know how we adapted and how we worked, but for the reasons I've just discussed, that culture piece is so important, and its preservation can't be lost in a hybrid or a heavy hybrid working world. So we are absolutely looking at, how can we keep what we've got, regardless of where we are and how we're working. How are we going to preserve what we have and make sure, even though we're aware of those risks of that heavy hybrid working model, how can we kind of leverage it and manage it so the benefits far outweigh the risks? So that's something that's on my mind in the context of Spirit, certainly.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what keeps keeping you awake at night. I don't think you'll be the only leader thinking about that. I think also that the challenge with this is that it's different for individuals, isn't it? So one person might want to have a check-in at 8:30 or whatever time every morning. Other people would much rather just crack on. So it's about finding that balance so that everybody's needs are met without it getting horrifically complicated.
Yeah, it's so individual, and I think that's really important, why we as Spirit aren't dictating, actually, this is what this looks like. Yes, there are guidelines and there are kind of those things that we say, this is what we think looks good, but actually locally at a team level, I think it's really key to understand how this team works, because everybody's different.
Absolutely, love it. If you were to describe Spirit's health, the culture of Spirit, in 3 words, which words would you choose?
Oh, so that's really easy.
So
I will go with brilliance, vigour, and family. So in terms of brilliance, I would say absolutely the core of what we do is there's quite a lot of expertise in Spirit, so we absolutely use that to understand what we're trying to achieve, create that simplicity and problem solve. I think in terms of the vigour, we do different things at Spirit. We seek alternative perspectives, and we do that at pace. And I think in general, we just challenge the norm. And we're very blessed that we have a cohort of people that are really change positive and embrace that rather than go against it. And I think in the family one's always a really interesting one when we talk about family at Spirit, because it is absolutely about supporting one another. It's about understanding who we are. We're a strengths-based organisation, understanding our differences, leveraging them. But as well as the support, there is absolutely a time to challenge and to hold people accountable too. Yeah. So just like a normal family, actually. So absolutely, those 3 words I would choose, which are our values, but are totally true and how I would describe Spirit, regardless of whether value terms or not.
Brilliant, love it. That's fantastic. What would you say you're most proud of when it comes to your workforce?
So I think it's their passion. And I don't think you go from one department to one or another division and one's more passionate than the rest. I think genuinely everybody really cares about what we're trying to achieve and how their role impacts that. And when you talk to people, I'm probably repeating a bit what I just said earlier, but when you speak to them, when you see them, it's quite infectious. And I haven't worked anywhere where it's really as tangible as it is at Spirit, and I think it's really rare. So yeah, the passion.
Love it. That's so cool. I mean, I feel like you've probably got a lot of magic dust sprinkled around across your business already by the sounds of it. But if there was one particular area that you could do with a bit of magic dust being sprinkled on, what would it be and why, I guess?
So I don't think I have an area. I do think what I always have in the back of my head is, I think because I feel what we have is so special. I think, yeah, if I could sprinkle some magic just on the entirety of that, and so that would always be preserved, that will always be there, and there will be never anything that, you know, impacts it negatively. That's probably what I would do. Yeah. You
want to basically bottle it up.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't blame you. And what's next for Spirit Health, kind of especially around your people and your people strategy and your workforce? Obviously, you've got the big focus on kind of maintaining and kind of continue to build on that culture with the hybrid working. What else have you got coming up?
So we're going to be doing, and we are doing now, actually quite a lot of work around leadership. So we're working with the senior leadership team quite closely, making sure that we're still empowering, inspiring, unleashing and growing the future leaders. And also linking into that culture piece too, making sure that they're as good as what we say. And we are championing and sustaining everything we do in terms of culture. Doing quite a lot of work on EDI currently. Our head of HR is leading on that, making sure, a bit like the culture, we're not just saying things, that genuinely we really understand our people and we're providing an environment that is inclusive and that they can thrive in. And then, of course, AI, I know it's big on the HR agenda everywhere, but particularly in Spirit and what we do, making sure that I think we're using it responsibly, and to increase that awareness and capability, and just making sure that we safeguard against any misuse. So some good and exciting stuff coming up in the next few months, the next year.
Lots to keep you busy.
Yeah, it's always busy at Spirit.
And always busy for you with all the people stuff, which is wonderful to hear. And also you can just tell by the way you talk, it's that infectiousness. Infectiousness is that word? But it's clear to see just from our conversation. So you've got a lucky workforce. Thank you very much, Kerry. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. There's so much our viewers can take from that. I think what you're doing at Spirit is fantastic. There's so many cool things that you're doing. And as I say, that infectious culture is something that I think a lot of companies can learn from. Really interesting stuff. Thank you once again. And thank you to our viewers. I look forward to seeing you at the next Future of Our People interview.
Thank you.